Hello, everyone. How are you doing? It is Friday, the strong end of the week, and I have my good friend with me today, Mr. Brian from Milky Way Weekly. How you doing, Brian?
I'm doing pretty good, Wayne. Looking forward to today's show. It's a little bit out of the norm for me. Usually I'm the one asking the questions. And so,
Yeah.
I'll be leaning on you a little bit more today.
Well, I kind of figured this is one of those topics that it works in tandem. You got to have it. It works better when there's two.
Absolutely. And I don't know if many people know, but, one of the things that really kind of brought me to YouTube, which I don't know that it goes in hand with this subject, but it was Planet X. And, but one of the theories that I've kind of really been thinking about, supposedly there's this star nemesis with Planet X, so would that be something that could cause an event like this and maybe help trigger it?
I don't know. First of all, I just want to say hello to all the moderators. Thank you, folks. You're the best. And welcome everyone that's in here. Y'all are just, it's fantastic. Hey, Franny, lots of people in here, Brian. But to answer your question, I don't know. It depends on what the model that you look at. If you think about this as more as a heliocentric model, than as opposed to the standard model that most people see everyone the universe on is more or less this ecliptic plane, then it would give precedence that there's things that we don't know.
Right.
I actually put together a PowerPoint presentation, and I did a program. I guess it's been almost a year and a half ago on planet amnesia, and one of the things that I thought we would discuss is how did we get maps made 500 years ago that show a completely different environment, temperature, and Antarctica, particularly no ice, and how they could now look at those, and we'll look at those maps and say,
Yeah,
how did they?
especially the map of Antarctica. I mean,
Yeah.
it shows the actual coastline, and most of it is under ice, and the coastline is not observable. So, how did they know that?
And how did you get 100 miles of ice, in what would be, I don't know, a couple hundred years?
Well, I think the event we're going to be talking about kind of explains, put some of
I
those
think it
pieces.
does that as well. Absolutely. Well, let me just, first of all, let me just invoke favor upon everybody today. May there be abundant favor in your life. May there be prosperity. I saw someone write in the comments, and it may have actually sent me into an email as well. They defined the word prosperity, and it means to be ever growing healthy. So abundant prosperity and full restoration, nothing missing, nothing broken, be found in your life. So we're on baby watch here. We have a
Baby watch.
grandbaby. We have a grandbaby coming into the world.
Oh, well,
Yeah,
congratulations.
it leads back to that whole thing about when does the soul or the spirit joined into the consciousness of the body. Um, yeah, yeah.
Let me ask you a question since you bring that up. When do you think life actually begins? Do you think it starts with the heartbeat in the womb, or do you think it's the first breath taken here on this planet?
I actually think it goes further than that. If you define life and how we look for microbial life on other planets, that is how we define life. Then what are we saying about with the human being? I don't know. I mean, sounds a little weird to me, but it sounds like, let's see, you got this magic that's happening. You have this rhythm between two light beings. They begin to generate a frequency, and each partner in this is charging an element. And then when those elements come together and they meet at the right moment, at the right time, a spark takes place, literally, a spark. I don't know. I think that's life. Anyone else think
I
that
mean, I
life?
agree. I
I,
definitely agree.
isn't it odd how we have a dual standard though, Brian? We look in outer space and we say, yeah, Now, if we could just find some of those microbes, we could prove that there's life. Well, wait a minute. What the hell's happening over here?
Well, I saw where they were doing some experiments where they put those upper atmospheric balloons and they're catching these microbes coming in from space, and they're finding this alien matter which doesn't exist here on this earth. So, I mean, that kind of gives credence to us getting seeded from outer space.
Yeah, I mean, the whole panspermium model that, they contend that if we get more into the solar flash theory, that we were repopulated by these microbial forms coming down. Who knows? So I don't know. I know this. We're going to speak our affirmations real quick, if you don't mind, Brian. I actually ordered the book, Price's book. As you can see, the Abundance book. Pretty far out book. I mean, kind of goes in line with what I've often said myself. So real quick, folks, Peter sent this in. If y'all want it, I have been sending this out right and left. Our affirmations are this: God is lavish and limitless within me. The spirit within is the source of all my needs, flows with abundance, is my supply, is unlimited and eternal, meets all of my needs, restores me, is part of the infinite source, and praises God, the infinite source. And it says, I acknowledge God, that the divine and infinite source of all, residing within me as the only true source of my prosperity. I love that word. Define it, folks. Restoration, care, and intervention, and total fulfillment of the spirit within, the physical and the mental bodies. Blessed be the Creator for his mercy. And I like them. This is the next one, Brian. I don't know about you. I've been quoting this for decades. It was part of my biblical training. Every word that goes forth out of my mouth, it shall not return to me void without producing any effect, but it shall accomplish that which I please and purpose, and it shall prosper in the thing for which I sent it forth. So there you go.
I never heard of it. I like that though.
Isn't that powerful? You know what? I don't know what's with the college Republicans, but they call every time, and I'm not kidding. Quit calling my bloody number. So anyway, yeah, I tell you, this is a powerful book. That is actually out of Isaiah 55. Check it out. It's pretty powerful.
It definitely beats the one that you said, or I said when I was a kid, that now I lay me down to sleep.
Oh, isn't that just a wonderful little curse?
Eerie.
Think about that. Now I lay myself down to sleep. My soul, I hope for you is to keep. If I should die before I wake. What is the last part of that?
I pray the Lord my soul he takes.
Yeah.
You're giving your soul away.
Mm-hmm. No, not
No.
now, not ever.
Needless to say, I quit saying that one.
Hi, Edgar. Good to see you. So, yeah, we all quit saying it. So I want to share something else with, I had someone send, so I have my sigil, got it done. And Brian, I got to tell you, my friend, as I am continue to get this book. So when I get into a subject, I really want to get into it. Got this yesterday in the practical sigil magic. Wow, 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 wow. The fundamental book. This is another mind blower. Can you see that?
How many books have you got now?
I think we're going to have to build another room. I know they say, well, don't they call that a library? Well, yeah, but one's getting full. So,
speaking of, I got through this book so far, the Eye of the God, the pineal gland. And
how do you like that?
Show coming up on that one, and I'm just started on the David Icke, the Everything You Need to Know but haven't never been told. I just started on that one, but I've got a couple other books going too, like I wished I had a photographic memory like you do, because my mind is just all over the place.
Yeah, but come on, David's book is like, that's like, oh, that's a little bit of light reading.
Right.
I mean, it's like War and Peace, with Pride and
Look
Prejudice.
at this.
Yeah, it's like, oh, sure, I'll just go ahead and get through that here on the, yeah. I haven't even started it. I really haven't. It's in the pile that says, okay, there's more important things to be done here. But this sigil magic, wow, Brian, I mean, this is powerful stuff, as they would say.
Yeah, unfortunately, you've piqued my curiosity on yet another topic.
Yeah, so I'm going to share with everyone. Actually, and forgive me, I get so many emails, completely forgot your name. But any case, I'm sharing this with everybody. So this is sigilscribe.me. Now, what you do is that you go in here and, I don't know, give me a phrase. You can see I did favor in all things. So I hit this and I go hit go. So there is my sigil.
Now, does it help you make it?
Yes, it will actually generate it for you. Breaks down the numbers covered in, so you know where the number value is, the vowels removed, and then this is the duplicated letters removed. Is that far out?
That is cool. I'm gonna have to check that out.
Yeah. I'll leave the link in the description section. Now, this is another cool one. So here you can do the same thing. You can type in, let's see, give me a word that you'd like, a phrase.
Enlightenment.
Okay, let's do in. I think we got that right. Now it's going to tell me that I did not. So there we go. So let's put that in. Okay. So here is that sigil for enlightenment. That's actually pretty cool.
Now, I wonder if it would do it like for a last name, like for Barnett.
I think it'd do anything you want.
Hmm.
Let's see. B, is it 2 R's or 1 R?
It's one R. Barnette.
TTE. There you go. That's
Wow.
pretty cool.
Oh, yeah. And by the way, I noticed in the description, you actually spelled it Brian this time instead of Brain.
I thought that was kind of funny when that printed out. I was like, well, I think it was actually apropos.
Oh, it always cracks me up. Even when you send those packages and stuff, it always says Brain Barnett. But like I'm telling you, I had teachers, people throughout my whole life have done that.
See, there's something there, my friend. There's something, telepathically.
I've got lack thereof.
Well, whatever it is, I am not sure. So check that out, folks. Too good one. Thank you for the person who sent this. Folks, this is a very cool thing. I encourage you to start doing it. We're going to continue as part as Henry gets into that, Agrippa. We're going to get into it. We'll have more where Franz is. But this sigil magic is, wow, Brian, it's pretty cool stuff. That's all I got.
I'm definitely going to check that one out.
So, for the reason of us in our meeting today, sir, we are talking about the impending solar flash event, which is now becoming supported by more scientific studies and inside testimony. One of the best ones I've seen recently was Ben Davidson's Earth Catastrophe series. And as they get in fact, it's actually linked here. Ben is the founder with Space Weather News. I actually have met with him, my wife and I both. He's a very nice guy. But the contention is this, Brian, that something has taken place in our solar system with our sun, particularly, that has apparently been what we would call a life elimination event.
And, it makes you wonder if that's really the reason they're building all these underground bases and things like that. But, from the research I've done, that it seems that these cosmic rays can penetrate all the way through the earth. So I don't really know how those underground military bases are going to help them much. I mean, I'm sure there will be a few that survive, but to me, it just seems like an overpriced coffin.
Well, and now we're discovering that the Earth itself is emitting cosmic rays, which
That's
how does
something that I just
yeah.
learned, to be honest with you, this week.
Yeah.
I had no idea of that.
Yeah, I mean, so we're getting it in both directions, it's coming in, and this our star, our sun, frankly, the knowledge that we have of it, what if a singular event, but as an all-time, I don't know, Franny, I'll have to catch up on that one. It's what I'm driving the car. Would you quit texting? You know, I look at this, and quite frankly, we don't know enough. I here's the weird thing about the sun. If the very light that today here in Colorado, beautiful day, that sun that's shining on you, shining on me, and everybody else is, in fact, are you ready for this? Nearly 200,000 years old. That's how long it's taking that light to work its way up from the core of the sun to the chromosphere.
Well, that's like I heard that there is I think it's in 2023, I believe. Don't quote me on that. But there's actually a star that is going supernova that we'll be able to witness in our skies. It's already happened, of course, but it will be visible here, I think, in 2023.
Goes to bring out the whole point, as I said in my radio show last night. It's like black holes. We now know they exist. We know that there's numerous of them. And whether they be small, micro, whether they be macro, large, they would still have a time distortion of effect as they would do with gravity.
Well, we look at so much science as fact, and it's pretty much
It's
just
theory.
like anything else. It's pure speculation.
That's all it is. It's an opinion. Hey, Josh, how you doing? Is the energies from the Earth and the sun colliding that produces our 3D reality? And if the energies didn't collide and reflect nothing, would it be seen? Well, I think that's the whole contention, is that our ability in the visible spectrum is, de minimis in its overall value of what the spectrum is. So I think we're actually blinded by the light. Does that make sense?
Well, everything appears different now. Like our sun looks wider, and if you look up at the sky at all, our skies look different than they used to. And I said a long time ago that to me they appear like they're in high definition. They went high def when our TVs did. And I don't know if you remember, but that supernova was happening out of Sirius B, and I theorized that I thought it was transmissions coming from our source star. And that's why our DNA was starting to be upgraded. And I mean, they even discovered a new DNA bundle within us.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Unlocking the code. It's odd. And, so you look at this first 20 years of this new century of the new millennium, and we have seen things that, well, I was an avid collector. I have a full library of the archives of, particularly with Secchi, with H1, which is no longer broadcasting, or so they tell us. And I'm convinced that I became convinced when I worked with Steve Olson, very quickly it became apparent to me that our perception of space, by what we see through Hubble, what we see through the computer an artist's renditions of what the universe is a far different reality than what our satellites actually show.
Absolutely. You know, and it's amazing to me with all the technology that we have that we still haven't seen a true picture of our planet.
True. So I'm going to pull up something for everybody. Please allow me to get this. Brian, you and I were talking earlier. So in 2007, this little puppy came passing by. Now we have multiple pictures of this in the size of it. So for everyone's reference, this is Earth down here, and you're going to see Venus come by. And so this was, as you can see, happened January 1st, 2007. This came through our solar system. I just love that. By the way, that little fast one. So I'm going to slow this down. By the way, for everyone who, I don't talk about this as much as I used to, but this is what we now know is called a Birkeland current. Brian, it was the weirdest thing when we discovered this. It was theorized that planets have a unique signature, that they, as well, because they're electric plasma, they generate what we call this Birkeland current. And this is the sun over here, by the way, folks. And we'll just start going. I'm going to stop the frame. So unfortunately, it even overwhelmed Secchi. So this is the comet itself. It's huge, folks. It's huge. I mean, this is a planet. This is us.
Now, is that a large Birkeland current through the comet?
Thank you, sir. That's exactly what it did. It overwhelmed the freaking sensors. And we're going to go ahead and we'll continue. I'm going to stop it right there. You can see what's happening here. Well, I don't know whether you want to call this, you can call it plasma, you can call it electromagnetic. It's absolutely, this is a current coming off of McNaught. Now, we in the Northern Hemisphere didn't see it. And which still surprises me because it lit up the whole freaking inner solar system. Look at the size of this thing.
Now, what is that big orb to the left?
Well, so the controversy has always been is that some have contended that this is objects that are here. They exist in our spatial dimension. Yeah. They just can't be seen. And it's only in extreme events when you have particles and photons just flooding the nearby space that we say this. Now, others say it's because the camera is the way that they process is overcompensating for the bright lights. Well, you can see what's happening here. I said this was Earth. This is Venus, excuse me. How it's flaring out already. So are you saying that even on the minutest scale that these anomalies happen because the camera can't compensate for the bright object? Well, that's what it was sent up there for. So again,
you know, and usually when it's a camera aperture like that, it's usually more centrally located too. It's not off to the side like that.
Yeah. So let's just now look at the size of that. Now, I ask you, sir, now you can see the reaction of our sun is over here. This is the tail of this comet. We're talking, Brian, tens of millions of miles.
Yeah, I mean, even if it's closer to the camera itself, I mean, that's still just huge.
It's huge. And I've shown where Secchi sits. Secchi sits a million miles out from Earth. Look at that. It completely overwhelms Venus here. Bye. And as you can see, and this is Mercury coming in hot. and this is our sun.
And this is the camera that's out now?
Yeah, we don't get anything now from H1A anymore. They say that they say it burnt out. Who knows? And so then that's Mercury, as you see coming in. So I just thought I'd share that little tidbit because a lot of people don't realize what happened. Um, so when we talk about a solar flash, um, how do we know that these haven't happened? How do we know they're not going to happen again?
That's true. I mean, and it's not just Earth that's experiencing all these changes. I mean, you can't really tell much from Mercury, but like, Venus has gotten brighter and supposedly is looking more to appear like a comet. And then we see all the changes on Earth. The core is heating up and all these storms, volcanoes, earthquakes. And then Mars, I'm the more I look into this, I'm starting to think that maybe that last micronova event is actually what happened to Mars. I mean, because Mars looks like it has been decimated. It lost its atmosphere. It lost the water on its planet. And then now you have Jupiter that's changing. The spot's going away and Saturn's losing its rings.
Good book, by the way. There was life on Mars.
Yeah, I totally agree.
So I want to run through this real quick because I think this will help. This is, by the way, Earth. Yeah. This is what our satellites saw when they looked back at Earth. You can see the picture that it came off the same camera that we were just looking at. Yeah. So I put this thing together. I put together some maps because I think something has happened, Brian, and I want to get your point of view and your take on this. So a number of maps, and you can see that these maps were made pretty much within 100 years of each other. Earliest one is 1487, the latest being 1569. Very interesting time. So here's what we're told, how we came about. And somehow or another, they're now admitting it's not a civilization, but civilizations. That's a whole different discussion. So our guy right here, Admiral Reese, this dude was well known. His life is well documented. He was at the time of the Suleiman. This was the Turkish Ottoman Empire. They were conquering and kicking ass to everybody, Brian. They were and taking names and drawing maps. They were traveling the globe. They were apparently selling to places that was not even thought possible, but they thought the same thing for the Phoenicians. So here's the problem. These are their maps. And let's just go through these maps. These maps show a time. If we now know by satellite technology that we can now strip it back the ice, what we're showing is that we have miles of ice that apparently formed in less than 400 years. Filippo Bacci, he was another one that said, well, now, wait a minute. This is not right. There's something going on here. This is a detailed map of the Antarctic coast, Antarctica. This is the same guy who did the map of Constantinople. I bet you didn't know it was this metropolitan, did you?
No, I did not.
Yeah, a lot of people don't. Here is showing an interesting thing of Antarctica, as you can see in the center of, well, what is clearly 4 different subcontinents.
It sure looks a lot like Atlantis.
Doesn't it, though? Doesn't it, though? What's so odd is how did they get the land right? This one is a very interesting map. It shows, the question has always been to me, even if this thing was off, how did they get it so close? I mean, were they traveling in the air?
Well, I truly think that we've been here before, and I think that we had technology far superior to what we have now. I mean, I don't know if you put any credence into the Black Knight satellite, and I'm not saying that that's what it is, but I believe that, yeah, we did have the capabilities to be able to fly above our Earth and see things like that. I mean, it's the only thing that makes sense unless we had visitors come here and actually help us with these maps.
Well, this is the one that amazes me. This one, I think, depicts the last magnetic pole flip. Look at what they're putting in the concentric of the center of the globe would be where we look at now the whole Middle East area. And if you look at how they have depicted the rest of the globe, this is a very interesting map, which tells me something ain't right. Something's just not right up there, Brian. That's all I got to say.
That's one of the things that happens with this micronova event. It excites and it actually turns the molten core in the Earth where it sloshes around, which, the Pangea with all the continents breaking apart, they basically say, when the Earth's oceans slosh around and then the continents will start to drift. I mean, like I said, the more I started looking into this thing, it just started checking off all the boxes and it rang true in me. It was one of those things that sent chills up my spine.
And people keep saying, folks, we were around with the dinosaurs.
Absolutely.
It's not quite what we are thinking. Now, I put this map up here because this is probably one of the most interesting maps of where we actually begin to see how well man circumvented the globe. And the amount of cognitive awareness, Brian, is amazing. And the question I keep asking, then how did they know if we take the current theory in the geological record, how did they get it right by drawing something that was supposed to have happened 2 million years ago? So I put this together and now I let it up to this. So we've been talking about this impending solar flash event. It's everywhere out there. People sometimes don't understand size. And when we understand size, because in this case, size does matter, Brian. I'm just telling you. It means everything. We know that we're constantly being hit by our star. Our star is going through a cycle right now. I think we're heading for a very cold period on our planet. But I just wanted to bring out the size of Earth to the size of the sun. Can you see it down there?
It's just a grain of salt.
Do you see us down there? Well, we're like really small. Now, when I was putting this together, it hit me. What if this is in fact the trigger that resets the matrix every time? We're hit with one of these that looks like this. This is what they actually filmed as a solar flash. They do exist.
And they say, a lot of scientists say that when we have these solar flashes, that it actually restructures the DNA of every human, plant, and animal on the planet.
I think that is very true. These are what we already have seen from our telescopes. This is probably one of the ones, as you were saying, there is one heading for us, I think, in the next 4 or 5 years. Which star was it that you were talking about right before we went?
I can't remember exactly what star it was, but I was talking about Sirius B, the supernova that happened out of Sirius B.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. By the way, this is what they suspect that the Milky Way may in fact actually look like. It just depends on your perspective. So I wanted to show where size is the thing. When our sun reacts there's very little that the Earth can really do to it. Here is an actual scale to model. I mean, these solar tornadoes that we pick up all the time, they're you can stack the Earth up.
Oh yeah.
So this is a artist rendition of what we're talking about. This is what would be typically, I guess, what a solar flash, kind of like what the material essence would be. And you can see if it's coming at us, we don't stand a chance in hell.
Oh, and they say during this micronova event that actually around the equatorial region of the sun, it will blow outward this stellar dust cloud, and it will hit each planet, pushing the planets back further along that, you know, from the sun than they already were. And it basically will evaporate some of the closer planets, their atmosphere, and if they have liquid on them.
Listen, and it's called the stacking theory, that if you go to the Thunderbolts Project and watch their symbols of an alien sky, listen, I contend this sun, the sun that we call here, was not always here. Saturn was much more closer. In fact, they said that Saturn was what lit up the Earth primarily. And I just wanted to show this, by the way. We've just discovered this puppy. This is how our sun stacks up to this sun.
Oh my goodness.
You know, Brian, we don't understand scale, do we?
No.
We just, and here it is again, that little blue dot down there, that's our sun.
I mean, you know, even in the human mind, we think of ourselves as so grandiose. And in the grand scheme of things, we are literally nothing.
We really aren't. We are living in the quantum. So that's a little thing I just put together. I mean, again, we don't understand our star. We don't understand, to be honest with you, we really don't even understand our planet.
No, not at all.
So I always look back on these things. What do you think of Mr. Admiral Reese and his amazing ability with his, what I would call colleagues of his time and era, how they could draw these maps? I mean, do you think they were just making this up?
No, there's no way. I mean, they're too accurate to be made up. Like I said, I mean, the only thing would explain is if we had the technology actually to go up and witness these things by themselves. But still, that's such on a grand scale. We would actually have to be space travelers. Or like I said, there would have to be visitors from other planets come here to help us make these maps. It's only two things that make sense.
And we know for sure, Graham Hancock's book, The Magician of the Gods, we know at Göbekli Tepe that there was a civilization before the Sumerians. They accurately left us, they knew that Earth was about to get vaporized, the best word I can use. They knew that there was a comet coming. They had tracked it. They knew it was going to hit us. And apparently this advanced civilization is no longer here. That tells me something happened 12,000 years ago.
I think that's why our ancestors had this obsession with the skies. I mean, and you can even go back further than that. If predated civilizations, go and look at the African civilizations that there was that were millions of years ago, literally. And a lot of those structures in those African civilizations was weirdly, they were designed after speech frequency patterns.
Very astute, Brian. Very well put. As you can see on my whiteboard, I came to this conclusion about 3 months ago in one of my meditation sessions, because I have been seeking and searching, why is it we can't remember our origins? Why can't we remember the moment, the second we came into consciousness as a species? Why is that wiped out? And why is it that it seems to be that the lower animal forms, the kingdom, the plant kingdom, is more resilient to survival of life than us?
Now, that's a good question. I've never really thought about that aspect.
Some I was just doing as I was taking a shower. Like, well, you know, but You think about this. And so all the things that divides us today as a species, you think about it. The racism, the bigotry, the divisiveness of our society manners, our politics, our religion, all of that is based upon merely an idea of what they think was the beginning.
Absolutely. I mean, but some of this could be answered just by the power of meditation. Like, it's amazing things that I would never even think about. I can go into meditation, and when I come out, like, these things pop into my mind, and then I'll go look into them. So, I mean, that kind of buys into the credence of, the Akashic records, which I truly believe in. I don't think it's some record hall. I think it's a part of our DNA makeup. So I think we can access this information.
I'm convinced that we can. I think that we purposely close ourselves off to it because we're taught at a very young age that it isn't possible.
Well, and look at all the things they throw at us, on a daily basis. And not only to desensitize us, but to basically keep us off of our path. They keep us busy with nonsense.
I like it. And if you break that word down, nonsense. So they've replaced common sense with nonsense.
Yep.
I mean, that's seriously what they've done. And, I was on my radio show last night, and I'll have to bring this out. This guy actually went out and did a study on what the 7th and 8th graders required reading was in 1908 to come and see what the required reading was in 2018. Holy crap. If this solar flash happens, I can assure you those that survive are going to go, what happened?
Well, I mean, that's like still in textbooks today that our, children learn from. There's known lies in our history books that they still teach our children. It blows my mind.
And here is the other thing that he found out. The books in 1908 dealt with history. It dealt with history that was documented thousands of years back. The modern books that the kids are getting today in school, are you ready for this? Most of them only go back 20 years, 50 years at the very most.
Well, I've said it many times before. I truly believe that they're trying to rewrite our history. I mean, that's one of the main reasons we go to war. I mean, when they're over there, they're erasing all these temples and stuff and blowing them up. They're really trying to rewrite our history so they can prepare it the way to fit their agenda.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, so we know that they found human footprints with dinosaurs. So we know that cockamamie story isn't right. We're so indoctrinated with this whole creation thing that, well, it had to be a god. I mean, only a god can create life. No, not necessarily. We can create life.
Well, here's the thing. If God created everything, then what created God?
And I want to see his resume and his credentials. Because they lied to me the last time. I went and, and I accepted it at face value. And when I did the background check, man. So here we are. We sit here at 2019. I saw your earlier video. We've got asteroids moving closer and closer by the Earth. We've got, the United States setting up for the space agency. And you're going, okay. And yet, none of this makes sense because it's almost like you had said earlier, they're here just to teach us nonsense.
Well, that's one thing. Corey Goode was quoted as he had talked to people in the secret space program that had admitted that this upcoming solar flash, micronova, whatever you want to call it, that is coming. And he had also either spoke to or channeled beings from Anshar. I'd never heard of them. Supposedly they're time traveler beings that live in the inner earth that was also telling us to prepare. But, of course, the governments are all only looking out for themselves. So,
well, in any way you look at it, this is a train wreck in slow motion. I mean, this is how I see it. It's just, you can't stop it. You see it and you're going, Okay. And I mean, that's really why when the reality of it became to me that we don't know what's out there, we're doing our best. But all evidence, the earth has gotten its butt kicked many a time. And apparently we have too.
I swear, I think that's why it's the most important thing you can do is to enjoy every moment of your life and question everything you can and absorb as much knowledge as you can, because we're here for this human experience.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is where I'm conflicted in my thinking right now. So, hey, Sue G, look at it, and Michelle Reed. Wow. Uh,
Coming out of the
yes.
woodwork.
I'll tell you, I'm dishonored. This is as far out. I mean, two of and Trina's in here. Wow, and Shannon. I mean, good Lord, it's like a reunion.
I'm so glad you finally, Trina finally come on. Like, I'd had her on quite a few times, and she was always nervous to come on. I'm glad that she finally came on your show and y'all hit it off.
She's I have to say, she's very special. To tell you, I just love the energy. In fact, I'm doing something right here. Hold on 1 second, Brian. I'm trying to do
I got
something.
another one I'm going to send your way as well, but I'm going to keep this one.
Well, gee. Okay.
I'll put him on loan every now and then.
That's cool. No, I'll tell you. Shannon, I already beat you to it. So anyway, so when I finally came to the conclusion, it's this, that the evidence is overwhelming that something has happened to civilization, not once, not twice. Brian, it seems to be almost with regularity that
everything goes in cycles.
Yeah. It's like we hit a peak, and I contend sapiens, however you want to define us, I don't think we're the crowning achievement of our genus of man. I think we were far more advanced. I think that we were a being, and I think we're part of that. But I do believe that there was a race of beings here, a species, bipedal. I believe that they were telepathic. They used telekinesis in every aspect of what we would require day-to-day life.
I think we're starting to see that as long with ESP and things evolve back into us. I believe that. I mean,
Yeah.
Because, not that I have telekinesis or ESP with.
You do though.
Yeah. Sometimes I can feel like, I don't know, these vibrations or these emotions come from people. That's like when I first started doing the shows, I always said that, I was feeling all these emotions and things, and I couldn't figure out what it was. Well, I was getting all this energy from all these people.
That is true. And you know what it is? You see, this is what I'm beginning to see. This is why I'm teaching magic, because magic begins to unlock the soul of possibility. And if the spirit realm, Brian, is made up of telepathic beings, I don't think a spirit can move air. Do you? I mean, they may have mouths, but there's no way that they could put sound to vocal cords. It would have to be telepathically.
You would think that ability would finally go away if they were just speaking and communicating telepathically. Yeah.
Yeah.
What would the need be?
Brother, had something this hit me. You just said something literally 3 or 4 minutes ago about, how we verbalize and how we speak. That takes so much part of our brain, our cognitive process, that I think it overwhelms and supersedes the telepathic abilities we naturally have.
Yeah, because it does take a lot of brain power just to speak.
It does, quite a bit. I mean, you think about it, for me to fashion a response to your words, the trillions of things that I have to go through just to be able to do it almost in real time to respond back.
I was thinking earlier also an event, a lot of people think that, we had visitors come down and help us move from this ape state up to humans. Well, an event like this, like I said, where it alters the DNA, could that been what actually transformed us from an ape-like species to where we're at now?
I think there's a lot of truth to that. It's odd. So my dreams have become very, they've taken on a different intensity. I was someplace, it's odd that you just triggered something. Trina, when we meet on Tuesday, this trigger words, phrases, keys, vibrations, there's so much synchronicity to this, Brian. As adamantly as most people in the religious mindset cannot handle the fact that man would be part of an ape man, you see, that almost, repulses most people. Well,
Ego.
I'll tell you, yeah. No. But in my dream, I was explaining to them how the rhesus hemoglobin got into our bloodstream. They had to have something that was adaptive to this environment. You see, I think that's one of the key things that keeps us here, is that each planet has within itself, it's a unique code. And that unique code is what we would see in alchemy as the four elements. Those four elements form and bond together to create a unique environment that only today bipedals like us, upright, could actually survive in.
Well, I wonder if that's why they, are trying to change the frequencies in the music and everything else that we listen to try to keep us out of tune.
Oh, I'm absolutely convinced of it. I think that's why so many people, even of the millennials and even now of the Generation Z, are being attracted back to the music of, now get this, the 50s, the 60s, and 70s. Those wonderful, cute phrases those riffs that got us all addicted. Tommy James and the Shondells, what is it? Crystal Blue Persuasion. And, everyone, you hear that riff and you immediately go, I think that's what's happening. I think they're trying to do that. In many cases, they're being very successful with it.
Oh, absolutely.
I really do believe that. And it's amazing, though, when you look at us, there's something about the older generation, and I don't know, I could be wrong on this, but we started out, the late 60s, the 70s, in changing the frequency and the vibration. I remember sitting with a number of gurus back in 1970, 71, speaking specifically about frequencies.
It's amazing how things seem to go full circle again. I mean, like I said, everything going in cycles. And, I know there was that big push in the late 60s and 70s for enlightenment. And like you were saying, the frequency. And now, I wonder if that's like each time it tries to kickstart, and now we're trying to kickstart it again. And that's why you hear a lot of people going, this time we're going to get it right.
I think you're spot on. This is going to get birthed one way or the other. Some group is going to give it physical manifestation. And once it gets started, I don't think it will. And you know what? I'm glad we're talking about this, Brian, because I don't think it's going to be like anything we've seen before.
I agree with that wholeheartedly. And I think that the clues are just as small as like the global elite has kept that control with the 1 or 2%. I think if we can surpass that, that's the tipping point.
I think you're right. I contend that this group here, we're a unique group in this. You're
well
part of it. I think we are. People, they find that this group they're unique. They're wonderful.
To put it mildly.
Yeah. They're strange, but
I get that one a lot. Trust me.
Well, you almost kind of wear it as a badge of honor. It's like, oh yeah, that's all right. Yeah, it's strange. See right there. Yeah.
Dare to be different.
Yeah, I worked hard for that, man. Don't you know? It's like, and then, you know, and the thing that I'm finding out, I'm finding other people invoking favor, you know,
Yeah.
and you know, it's such a neutralizer. It's like someone can just be so mad, and you just say, you know what? I just look at you with favor. And my wife says, you know, she says, one day.
Well, I mean, you totally flip the script on them like that, you know, and sometimes that can totally throw people out of their game, like especially if they're mad or something like that, and you return it with love.
Yeah,
They don't know how to react.
What the hell are you doing?
I'm trying to have an argument here.
Yes, you're not participating. What's up with that, man?
What was it in Living Color? Homie, don't play that.
Yeah, homie, don't play that, by the way. And, you know, I saw a couple of days ago, I think, Franny, you were talking about it, you know, Jim Carrey. And in Living Color, that's when I remembered Jim Carrey. Who was the fireman? Fireman Dan?
Fire Marshal Bill.
Fire Marshal Bill.
Yep.
So often I see things going in that direction. They got the best of intent, but someone's going, yeah, eventually. Oh, well. So, Brian, what do you got going on your channel? I know you took a sabbatical. You were sick there for a long time, weren't you, buddy?
I was, yeah. I'm starting to roll back up. Actually, you know, and I tried working with the Google Hangouts, and man, it just doesn't work for me. But luckily, I had a donation come in from Mr. Kent Nichols, which is the one I would like you to maybe journey on having on sometime. He's got a great mind. So I want to get the Zoom rolling again, and hopefully, you know, if I can keep that going, I plan. I've got a bunch of, you know, guests lined up. I've just got to get them starting rolling out. So I'm firing back up on all cylinders, and I'll at least be doing 3 shows a week for the next little while, if not 4.
Well, folks, you know, a lot of people ask, write me, you know, they want to send a donation to me. Go over to his Milky Way. I'll have the link down there and make a donation to him because, you know, Brian, I like your shows. I do. I've met a lot of the people that are here through you, and they're all beautiful, beautiful spirits.
But, you know, that's one thing, like, I kind of enjoy being small because it's more of an intimate setting. And I look as all my subscribers as my family. I mean, you know, I love them all. And, you know, I mean, and I'm always, you know, speaking praise about you because you're truly the reason that I started this. I mean, you set me up with Zoom the first couple of months, sent me a microphone and give me the courage because trust me, folks, I hate being on camera. So this is leaps and bounds for me.
I do recall that, Mr. Barnett, that you know, those first couple of times, but, you know, there is an energy with you and there is a knowledge. And, you know, we need that. We need so many others to really just step forward and just let their essence shine. This is the time. You know, I look at it. Go ahead, buddy. What?
Well, I was just going to say, you know, I don't claim to be smart. I don't claim to know anything. I'm just very inquisitive. And you know, that's why I like having all these guests on. I want to hear their opinion. I mean, like I said, It's basically their channel. It's not mine. I just happen to be the guy on there that brings it all together, you know, so.
Well, we want you back there and, you know, we'll have more interaction on this. I think people are getting over kind of there was that period of time, there was a weird vibration that was going through the whole community. And
a lot of people took sabbatical.
Yeah. And it was meant to be. I think it was. You know, if we're not changing, then we're not growing.
Absolutely.
I love classic rock and roll, but I also like, you know, classic Beethoven, you know. I like, you know, the fact that I have a diversity of frequency is what keeps us alive. I tell you, Brian, I think it's going to play more of a role in the next realm to come.
I just enjoy any type of creativity, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, I think that's part of the human experience while we're here.
It is. And boy, that is exactly it. We're here for the experience. We are humans and we're here for the experience. Mm-hmm. Well, Brian, I'll let you close us out. Thank everyone. I just want to say for everyone that's been here, it's so good to see so many people in here. Folks, we're bringing it back. It's there. It's all, well, it was there. It's just, we're evolving.
We're bringing sexy back, as Justin Timberlake says.
I think we are. I think we are. And I said, when I was just speaking, this is what the mental image came to me. With every new growth, you have to slough off the outer shell.
Absolutely.
And I think that that's what this community has done. And I think we've come out, we're beautiful, Brian. We are beautiful. That's all I got to say. And that's my testimony, and I'm not changing it.
That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Staying with it. Brian, stay with me here, folks. Make sure you go over there and support Brian. I know we're all kind of like all intertwined here, but again, Brian, you're like a brother to me, and it's I know it's reciprocated, and everyone in the chat room, a lot of people watching. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for the thumbs up, and get over here and support Brian. I like to see you on much more often. I always enjoyed you on Sunday night. I have to say, it was always.
Well, I'm bringing Steve back as well. We're going to start doing Slightly Slanted Sundays, probably every other week. It won't be every week, but it'll probably be every other week.
Yeah, I like Steve. He's, the thing about it is we're baking a cake here.
Steve's just very passionate.
And there's nothing wrong with passion.
Not at all.
If a person doesn't have passion, then typically they have indifference.
Yep. You nailed it. I got one thing to say before we part ways. Be the freak you want to receive. I always close my shows that way. So
you need to trademark that and get a T-shirt made with that.
I need to speak to you after this about that.
Okay. I'll tell you, Josh, are you still here? Consciously aware? Well, if you check this out, Josh. Okay. Josh he's a talented soul, man.
Yes.
I think in another life, he had to have been an artisan. He must have been a sculptor. Anyway. All right, folks, have yourself a strong end of the week. Enjoy it. I'll see you Monday. I don't know if I'm going to do Sunday. I know Jeff Doherty's out with the Connect the People in the Desert. But anyway, we'll see you on Monday. Brian, stay on with me here, and we'll see you all later. Bye-bye.